Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Happy Monday. Hopefully your day's off to a great start. We're all in that weird period between like Christmas and New Year's where we don't really know what's going on. I don't know what that was. Hopefully everybody enjoyed some of that football yesterday. What a crazy end of the regular season. I mean, Hollister showing up 6 inches short like that. That is about as insane of an end as a regular season as I could possibly imagine.
It reminded me of one other game. Did it remind you of that same game, that Super Bowl, with the Rams and Titans?
Absolutely. How could it not?
Right? I mean, and that game sticks out like a sore thumb, a Super Bowl ending like that. And last night, with as much as was on the line, only fitting for it to end like that. Two really good teams. I think San Francisco is better than Seattle, but Seattle, is good, as they've proven year after year.
Definitely, guys. But we're here to talk NBA. Speaking of NBA, Overlay Fantasy Sports has got some contests up that we will break down later. Interested to get into these. I'm kind of interested just to get back into the swing of things. I hate this time of the year where we're like, every day is a little weird. Kids aren't in school and stuff like that. I want to get back to the daily grind of DFS. So we'll be talking Overlay later today. Come and join us. Come and talk about it. Get on there and, spend some of your hard-earned money to win even more money you can spend on some toys.
I couldn't agree more with your point about, these days feeling weird. It is what it is right now.
Speaking of weird, everybody send Matt a digital hug if you can. You had a nice day of NFL yesterday, but you entered the wrong lineup in the wrong contest. And if you entered your good lineup in the other contest you entered, you would have had $100,000 today. So still a good day, but is like you would say, that would have been a game changer.
Yeah, man. I mean, DFS is always that mental struggle, as we talk about. It's tough. I was obviously very happy, had a good day, and then of course went back and looked at everything. It was like a punch to the gut. I'm very appreciative of having a good day though, and we'll just get back at it today, and hopefully I can win $100K tonight.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Anyways, guys, I will say this one is the first bullet point to bring up about HASSAN Whiteside. If I want to play HASSAN Whiteside, it should tell you something. This is the guy that causes me more issues in DFS. Maybe him and my boy Aaron Jones, actually. Aaron Jones ended up not being horrible by the end of the day, but he was not good. These are the two guys I feel like it doesn't matter how good of a spot that they're in. I seem to get them wrong. So I'm going to curse HASSAN Whiteside today and bring him up on the show. I hate lazy evaluation, and lazy evaluation is saying he's just too cheap. He's too cheap. Why is he 7,100 today? This guy is literally averaging 45 DK points in home games. He is averaging 6.5 times his salary in home games. He's been killing it at home. The Suns got issues versus centers. He seems mispriced today because of one bad game.
He's way too cheap here. He was real popular in that Utah game also. He just balled against the Lakers, which is an even worse matchup than Utah. I mean, when guys have bad games in Utah, it is what it is. Whiteside is not LeBron James, so he is going to have games every now and then where he isn't that good. This is a great spot for him here. I loved him when they played in Phoenix like 2 or 3 weeks ago. He got in bad foul trouble. Still ended up at cash game value at this price tag because I think he was like somewhere between 35 and 40 DK points, despite missing a lot of time and just not being able to play aggressive because he got called for a couple early fouls. He's just too cheap, man. Like, seriously, he's $1,000 too cheap here. It just is what it is.
Yeah, he would be like worth looking at 8,500. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he's 7,100 today, he's gonna be, I have to imagine, wildly popular today.
Yeah, same. Because you kind of expect like somewhere around 45 DK points, between 40 and 45 on the low end, I guess. But he could easily go for 55,
If he plays well, yeah, for sure. Again, I hate rostering HASSAN Whiteside. He is an absolute pain, and he's a nightmare for me. He has been for years now. But I struggle not to play him here, especially knowing how popular he probably is going to be at this price tag. In a home game. And again, you want to feel like, oh, well, what if Portland blows out Phoenix? Portland's not very good. So these teams are actually relatively even.
Yeah, Portland, I'm not worried about the blowout at all, really.
All right, next up, you want to talk about Terrence Ross. So before I let you get into your reasonings behind it, I look at it this way. It's kind of a baseball approach. So with the Orlando Magic missing Aaron Gordon, all of a sudden everybody wants to go to tall guys who can kind of fill his role. The difference is they might go smaller, and Terrence Ross is instant offense. He is actually one of the better offensive players on this team. He's just a little streaky because he's a shooter.
Definitely. He's very streaky because he's a shooter, and without Gordon today, he gets a big boost in offensive usage. The reason I wanted to bring him up was that point that you made. I love that point. people will look to who's ever filling in, like you talked about. And those guys are fine. Vucevic and Isaac, those guys are pricey if you want to go there. It's a good spot against Atlanta. If you see like a Wes Iwundu making a spot start, you see people go there. But I love the pivot to Ross. I'm not sure how pivot he'll be. I expect him to get love because he's really cheap at 4,200. He's been productive. This is a good spot for him. He's going to get a usage bump, like I said, with no Gordon. He's just a solid value piece at 4,200 here. And I'm sure we'll get value as the day comes on, like really cheap value, because we always do. I hope that happens and that it keeps people more off of Ross. As more value comes out as the day goes on, the value at the beginning of the day becomes lesser owned. I like Ross a lot here as I'm not even going to say a cog. He's just a filler piece that's solid for me here.
And I don't look at him as a cog because when he doesn't shoot the ball effectively, he just walks into about 11, 12 points because he doesn't do a lot of other things, averaging 3 rebounds a game, less than an assist, less than a steal. But when his shooting starts going, now he starts to get more peripherals. He starts getting aggressive from 3-point range. It's also a slate where value is not a necessity because especially if Giannis is out again, there are no high-priced studs you need to roster, so you're going to get more of a mid-tier build. And he's just not the kind of filling guy I expect most people in the industry to go to. Most people start looking for guys about Aaron Gordon's size, who's starting for him, and things like that. So I don't think he gets a ton of love today, which, again, is why he's more of a GPP guy in my eyes. But also, you need him to shoot well. And if he shoots well, this is the guy who could walk into 7 or 8X today, and it wouldn't be anything surprising in the slightest.
Agreed.
So, all right, let's move on down the road. I want to talk about Spencer Dinwiddie. So the next two guys we're actually about to talk to have a lot of similarities in what they're doing post-injury. So Dinwiddie is another guy. He's a little bit underpriced today. The Nets have played back-to-back very poor offensive games. So it's a great bounce-back spot tonight against one of the, I hate to say this, but one of the worst teams in the league in the Minnesota Timberwolves. They don't play defense. They're not good. So I think this is a good bounce-back spot for Dinwiddie. Another good reason to roster Dinwiddie today is kind of what I mentioned before. I think there are better dollar-for-dollar upside plays today than Spencer Dinwiddie. However, you're going to have some money today, especially if Giannis is out and you're not looking at him. Trae Young's not playing and things like that. They're just, there's no Harden on the slate or anything like that. No Luka. So I love the high floor of Dinwiddie. Post Kyrie, this guy almost never drops below 35 DK points. He's like a 42, 43 point type of player, very consistent in a good matchup. He's just kind of the, set it and just take your 40 points and move on. And you got plenty of value you can get in other spots.
He is the cog in the machine type of play here. I mean, he just is. Yeah. As much as we hate to say it / love to say it, he really fits that mold here, especially at now under 8K. Wasn't he like 8,500 or something like that recently? So big time price decrease. We love picking on Minnesota, as you mentioned. They suck. They're really bad. If this game were in Brooklyn, I'd have blowout concerns. I think they've lost like 8 or 9 in a row. I'll give
Minnesota? Minnesota hasn't won since 2012, I think it was.
I don't know what's up with Towns or Wiggins here. I know Towns is still questionable. I'll believe he plays when I see it. Until then, I'll assume he's out. I could see Brooklyn rolling here. I guess that's my issue with upside. That being said, he's on the road. He's very consistent. You probably like him slightly more than I do, but he makes a lot of sense here.
So I spent a while looking through this slate, and there's a lot of upside plays in that kind of like 5,500 and under range, and we'll get into a lot of those on members only. The difference is without any studs in here, you're going to be able to spend up on guys like him that maybe they don't have the upside per dollar you want, but you're also not going to leave 5K of salary just to play all the upside guys. So it's just kind of a boring play in my eyes, but a very consistent, boring play. This dude just never drops below 35 DK points with Kyrie out there. Now, he's not a big upside guy. I never expect 55 from him. He's done it once or twice, but he's a kind of a boring take your 40 points and move on kind of play.
For sure.
Speaking of guys, like I said, I look at Joe Ingles, like your poor man's Dinwiddie. Post Mike Conley, he is beyond consistent. He's got more upside than Dinwiddie. Not quite the floor some days, but, this guy's 6X or better and 6 of 10. What's not to like?
Yeah, he's got 30. Excuse me. He's got 30 plus in 9 of 10, 10 of 12. At this price point, you'll take that all day, every day, twice on Sundays. Yeah, you want more upside than just a 30 spot. But as we've talked about a bunch recently, and as your point with Dinwiddie, if you can basically just lock Ingles in for 30 plus here, I'll take that even with the 30 because you don't want to shoot your shot for upside with every single guy in your roster. You need those guys that will get 5X with the potential to 7X. He doesn't have massive upside. He has more upside than Dinwiddie just because he's $1,800 or $1,600 cheaper. but they are, birds of a feather here, as you would like to say. They're very similar. They're both benefiting big time from the starting point guard being out. Utah's better with Ingles than Conley. Hot take right there. I'm a big Conley fan, but it's taken him a while to get adjusted. I'm not sure the fit with Donovan Mitchell is as good as people wanted it to be. Ingles is the guy that they really seem to play best with when he's running the show. I don't love going out of my way to pick on Detroit. You know how I feel about Detroit. They're such a enigma. I never know what to take from them. I don't want to stack this game. I just view Ingles at 6K or 6,100 as a guy you can play in all formats. He's not a must, but he's just a solid, filler piece again.
Consistently underowned. That's my only worry with him is I am not a fan of Detroit. No Blake Griffin, so they're going to be even worse probably again today. Not that Blake Griffin is this world changer. They just don't have a lot of bodies. And that's really the only thing I worry about them is Detroit plays terrible and Utah's up 25 or 30. But I don't want to bet on that because it's not like Utah blows out people left and right.
No, and Utah also at home has a tendency to keep their starters in late. So Ingles has played really well in the first halves recently also. Again, I don't think he's a must, but kind of like your Dinwiddie point, you're going to have some money to spend on this slate. He's affordable anyways, but at this price point, I think he's just a good look.
Exactly. So it's kind of like you mentioned Ingles versus Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie is the raw points guy. You expect a better raw points performance. I think Ingles has a slightly better points per dollar.
Right. I don't expect Dinwiddie to crush Ingles points wise.
No, I don't expect Ingles, 40. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't expect Ingles to crush Dinwiddie points per dollar. I think that Dinwiddie's somewhere around 40 and Ingles is somewhere around 33,
Yeah, that's about how I view it. And I think Dinwiddie can get you 45, and I think Ingles can get you 35 to 40, depending on how the game plays out.
Yeah, Ingles can definitely get you around 40. He's not a guy that's going to get you 50 plus, but he's pretty much automatic right now for between 30 and 40, and I'll take that all day.
Right. He had one less than stellar game against Charlotte. And again, even that one was 25. It didn't ruin the night.
No, it doesn't ruin the night. So I just like him here. He's a guy that I use a bunch. He never gets as much ownership as he should. He's just solid here again.
All right, guys. If you want more details on the slate, we haven't even talked about a couple of the other good places to go today. Go sign up to be a member. Members only will be out in a little while. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up is appreciated. And preemptive Happy New Year's to everybody.
Thanks, guys.